Today, let's look at motion paths and auto orient so you can make something that looks kind of like this. So I've put these two files on my Google Drive if you want to download them and import them. The two files are plain and yellow butterfly, and I'm going to make a new composition. Full HD, about 8 seconds should work for us today. In our composition, I'm going to go ahead and pick up that plane and just drop it on there. So if I wanted to make a motion path where it's going across the screen, I could very simply click P for position. I'm going to pick up the plane and move it off the screen. For my first keyframe, turn on animation. Then go to the end of the 8 seconds and move the motion path off the screen. So when we hit play with the space bar, you can see the plane is flying across the screen. Pretty exciting. Now, if I wanted to make this motion path a little bit more interesting, if I click on the actual word position, you can see the motion path. And remember that there are handles. You could adjust the handles to make this a little bit more interesting of a motion path. And let's even add a few more keyframes. I'm going to put my playhead a third of the way through, and I'm going to have it move upwards. You can see it's automatically made me a keyframe. Then go about 2/3 and have it swoop down. So now we've got a kind of dynamic motion path. But this is not the way a plane would work. The nose would not be just straight ahead like that. We need it to orient to what is happening on our path. So that's where we're going to use something called auto orient. So make sure that you are actually on the position motion path, and we're going to go up to Layer, Transform, Auto Orient. So what we're telling the computer is that I need you to orient this object along the path that I've just created. So go ahead and say OK, and let's see what it has done. Well, it did orient it along the path, but it is upside down. So the simplest way to fix that is put your mouse where you can see it. We're going to hit R for rotate, and then just rotate it so that it is pointing towards wherever the path is going. So this looks a little bit more natural. So this is what auto orient does. And when you are working in 3D, you can auto orient. You can auto orient your camera. This is a much better way to deal with motion paths, is auto orient. So if you'd like to try that, I have put the plane.png on my Google Drive in the links. Now I'm going to make another composition, and this one we're going to actually sketch the plane. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the plane on this again. And I'm going to scale it down just a little bit so we have more to work with. So I'm scaling mine down to about 37%. Now I am in Windows Workspace Show All Panels. I'm going to go ahead and put the playhead at the beginning, and I'm going to make sure I'm on P for position. It's a path, so it needs to have position. Before we turn motion path on, I'm going to go ahead and just move it off the screen. And then I'm going to say Start Capture. Don't go too fast. Just lightly draw something that you want this path to do. Now notice it has created all of these keyframes for me. Now I had an 8-second long composition, so I had up to 8 seconds to draw this. Now it has created a lot of stuff, and it's very jerky and strange. So a couple of things you can do here. Make sure you're on the position. Right under motion path is something called the smoother. So we can go ahead and smooth that path that we created. I'm going to go to about 30 and hit apply. And you can see that it has changed all of those keyframes down to a more manageable amount of keyframes. I'm going to delete that, and let's do that one more time. Drag the plane onto your composition. I do want to scale it down just a tad. Make sure you are in P for position. And this time, let's go back to motion sketch, but this time let's put the smoothing in before we create the capture. So 30 worked pretty well for us. So I'm going to go ahead and put smoothing to 30 before I do it and start capture again. You can see it made a lot less keyframes, and it is smoother than it was the last time. And of course, we can use auto orient on this again. Make sure you are on position, layer, transform, auto orient, orient along the path. And once again, it is facing the wrong direction. So just put your playhead so that you can see which way it needs to go. And we're going to hit R for rotate, rotate it the correct way. And let's see this motion path. All right, this time let's make another one with the butterfly that's a little more complex. I'm going to make a new composition, throw my butterfly, scale it down, make sure I'm on position, start my capture, and just make a gentle loop. When you're getting close to your 8 seconds, try and get close back to the beginning. Now, when we zoom in on this, sometimes it's hard to see because the butterfly is there. So just click your playhead to the middle so that the butterfly gets out of the way. You can see this is our first keyframe. This is our last keyframe. So deselect the motion path, then click that first keyframe and make sure that it is linked to the last keyframe. And you may have to adjust these a little bit so that it's not a super severe change. So now we should have a complete loop. Let's watch it and see if it worked. Perfect. Now we click on Position, Layer, Transform, Auto Orient, orient along the path, and make sure that it is pointed with rotation towards the path. Now let's kind of analyze what we see going on here. We have a slowdown, and that is because of how far away these are. So I think I want to change that. Let's make sure we're on our path. And you can see these are very spread out. So if I just kind of move them so that they're a little bit more uniform, our timing will be more uniform. Let me see if that works. I was just kind of trying it on my own. Really slow down right there. So let's move those closer together. Remember, if it's closer together, it's going to happen faster. I kind of like it slowing down there in the middle. There we go. So this is dealing with motion paths and auto orient. Have fun with this one.